All right, we are back from lunch with a little bit of food coma going on. But that's all right, we're gonna power through this, and by power through, I mean we do have like another 13 something videos in this chapter. So let's get started. And this video, we're gonna cover quickly our 3 favorite pocket strobes. Now, among this, let's start with number 1, the Photix Mitros. This little guy is 400 bucks. Now this is my favorite off-camera flash, and this is a full feature off-camera flash, including a built-in radio system. So what are the pros about this guy? Well, it costs 400 bucks, and for that price, it's actually less expensive. I think I said actually. It's actually less expensive than the Canon equivalent, which is the Canon 600 EXRT, and Nikon doesn't even have an equivalent. So if you're shooting Canon or Nikon, this comes with both variants. We're hoping that they open up to additional brands in the future, like say Sony and so forth, so that we can buy Mitros Pluses for those. Now, along with this, you have full features. You have TTL, you have rear curtain sync, you have high-speed sync, you have all that functionality, including a built-in radio system. It has grouping, it has channels. I think it has 4 different groups. It has channels, it has everything you'd possibly need. And you have a couple different options. You can actually control all the off-camera flashes with another Photix Mitros Plus that's mounted to your camera, or you can simply use the Photix Odin. This guy is the Odin transceiver, and it can control all the groups if you don't want to have a flash on your camera. Now this guy, the benefit is he's a little bit less expensive than buying another Mitros Plus to simply control all the off-camera units. I also find him a little bit easier to use as well. Okay. The only downside really with the Photix Mitros Plus that I would say is worth mentioning is just that the overall menu system, the user interface, could be a little bit better. It's a little bit clunky, kind of moving around and kind of adjusting powers very quickly. Now for most of you, you won't really run into that difference or that kind of nuisance, I guess. But for some that shoot like events, like say for us, I'm constantly turning on and off different groups and making adjustments very quickly. The adjustments are fairly simple to make, but I wish there was a way in the interface that you could click one button to get to each different option and to make one button adjustments to turn on and off, like you would, say, the grouping on a Pocket Wizard. With a Pocket Wizard, if we want a group turn on or off, we just hit that button once, and so it's very, very simple. So I do hope that in the next iteration of this series, there's going to be more versions, and hopefully they kind of address that little bit of a UI issue. But still, it is by far my favorite flash overall. And it comes with all the other standards. Like it has, obviously it has a good recycle time, the good wireless range. It has external power input, it has 3.5mm sync port in case you need that. And it also has a metal hot shoe. So those are kind of the standards that we'd kind of, just assume that these flashes should have. My number 2, this guy is my number 2. So this is the full feature guy, which is $399 bucks, which puts its total cost per off-camera flash at $400. This is the LumiPro LP180. It comes at $200, but the only thing is you need either the Pocket Wizard Plus 3 or some other radio trigger to fire this. Now, a Pocket Wizard X is 100 bucks. The Plus 3 is 149 bucks. And that brings the total cost per off-camera flash to roughly around $300 to $350. Granted, there are less expensive radio triggers out there, but I don't necessarily like using them professionally because they do have consistency issues in firing and triggering and so forth. But the Pocket Wizard series works fantastically well with the LumiPro. What are some of the pros of this? Well, number 1, for a manual flash, it is built extremely well. It has a very, very solid build quality to it. Number 2, it's a very simple interface on the backside. And we have just basic options to go up or right, left. We can put it into slave mode if we want to use infrared. We have a test button. It's very, very simple. The user interface is just kind of like open up out of the box and just run with it. It's really easy to use. Also, some cool things that we have on here is a 1/4-20 port right here on the side, so we can mount 1/4-20 screws directly to this, which means that I could put this onto a light stand just like this if I didn't have a shoe or something else to kind of put onto it. So it makes it very easy to mount and to do whatever you want to the side with that 1/4-20 hole. 1/4-20 hole, 1/4-20 screw hole, 1/4-20 port, whatever you want to call it, I don't care. Has fantastic wireless range when you're using the Pocket Wizard with these. Now we've done extensive Pocket Wizard testing, and on certain flash units you run into wireless issues usually due to interference. Like say Pocket Wizard and Canon 580EX2s and 430s, they have a major issue with interference. This guy's been tested and it works solidly. It has great range, very consistent results, and so forth. We also have really good recycle times. It has external power input, so if we wanted to power the device externally, we could do that, or basically get better recycle times with that. We also have a metal hot shoe. The only cons of this guy is that it is manual control only, obviously. So this is a manual flash, meaning that we don't have TTL. TTL is not a big deal. We never use TTL anyway. But we don't have rear curtain sync. We don't have first curtain sync options. We don't have high-speed sync. All those additional features we do not have. So you're gonna be adjusting your power settings directly from each off-camera flash, which means that, you know, if you're using this in conjunction with a Pocket Wizard and you need to power this flash up or down, then you need to either yourself or have a lighting assistant walk over to the flash, power up and down, and change zoom settings manually on this guy. Versus with a Photix Mitros, everything is controlled directly from your camera. So you can control zoom and power settings directly from the Odin or directly from your other Mitros Plus. Okay, so the other con to this is that it's more expensive than other cheap flashes. Granted, the build quality is better, so you're getting a value for that, but still at $200, it's not necessarily cheap. And also it requires third-party radio systems, which puts its total OCF cost at $300 to $350, which means that you're getting close to the $400 mark, which means which means a ton, which basically is saying that if you're gonna be buying 3 or 4 of these, you'll save a few $100s going this route, but you're gonna have a lot of convenience saved going this route. So I'll let you guys decide on which you prefer, whether you go manual or full feature. But for myself, I prefer definitely going full feature. Number 3, my third favorite pocket flash or pocket strobe is the Canon 600EX RT. Granted, these used to be $600, they're now $500, most likely due to the fact that the Mitros Plus came in at $400, so Canon brought the price down $100. It has basically everything that you'd want inside of this flash, okay? So they're basically identical, but this flash, the EXRT, has 2 advantages over the Mitros Plus. And you're gonna have to decide whether those 2 advantages are worth the $100. Advantage number 1 is that since this is Canon's, basically a Canon device on a Canon flash, you are gonna get better operative features, like basically the autofocus assist in low light situations is better on the 600EX RT than it is on the Photix Mitros Plus. The Mitros Plus still has the autofocus assist, but it's a little bit more sluggish in comparison. So if you're shooting a lot of low light, that may be worthwhile to you to at least have this on camera versus this guy on camera. But you can still wire to you can still actually wire to the Odin to control your Mitros Plus's off camera, even if you're using this on camera. All you do is you'd get a hot shoe to a PC sync cable, and then you simply mount this to that hot shoe bracket. Okay, so that's totally an option too. Now, what is the other advantage in this is the refinement of the 600EX RT, and I apologize, our 600EX RT is actually on a shoot right now, so I don't have it to hold in my hand. But the 600EX RT is a little bit more refined in its menu system and kind of controls and so forth. And you'd expect that because obviously it's Canon's and it's with a Canon system, and so you'd expect the two to operate together just a little bit more nicely. So those are the 2 advantages. Again, still my favorite overall for full feature is the Photix Mitros Plus, especially considering if you're using Nikon or Canon, this works across the board, and they should have more compatibility coming out soon for Sony and other camera makers as well. I really want to get one of these for my Sony A7 series. I think it'd be absolutely awesome. All right, so these are our 3 favorite pocket strobes. These are flashes that we can recommend for everyone, okay? These are just amazingly well built. They're very high quality, very consistent, and we can recommend these for professional use across the board. So whether you're an amateur photographer, an aspiring professional, or a professional, these we can recommend without any qualms. Let's go ahead and move to the next video now.